What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about the secrets of the early game, pretty much all the theory that the build loaders are based on and how we even got optimized build loaders in the first place. It all comes from these concepts, and it's important to understand these concepts so that you can understand what you're doing and not just blindly following a build loader. It's also important to know these concepts to judge a good build from a bad build. So anyways, let's hop into it and see what there is about early game from Dark Age to Feudal Age. So the first thing you have to understand is the pros and cons of upping from Dark to Feudal Age. What's the pros of upping fast and what's the cons of upping fast? Now, the thing is, I'm going to keep it nice and simple, and I can definitely elaborate in the comments if you have any questions. But the later you up, so the more builds you make in Dark Age, the more resources you have upon hitting Feudal Age. And the reason behind this is that on the way up from Dark Age to Feudal Age, you have an X amount of vills that doesn't change because you can't make vills while upgrading. So if you upgrade with less vills, you're going to have less resources collected in that time compared to someone with more vills who will have more resources collected in that time. Now, the thing is, you can't just go 100 vills in Dark Age because then you're missing out on everything there is in the later stages. So like eco upgrades, you're missing out on multiple town centers, and so clearly that's wrong. But you also can't up like 15 pop because then you're not going to be able to afford anything, and the privileges of the next age or like the benefits of the next age won't actually be apparent to you because you just simply can't afford them. So clearly there has to be that sweet spot, and for the purposes of feudal rushing on Arabia, the sweet spot I can tell you is from 18 pop to 20 pop. Civs can do earlier if you have a bonus like Mongols, like a crazy early game, and Civs can't really do later, and if you do later, you have to have a very good reason for it. Or else, just stick to 18 pop to 20 pop, and that's 17 vills to 19 vills. That is the best optimized time to go up to the next age. And like I said, if you up earlier, like at 18 pop, you're going to be faster, but with less resources, so you have to do something with it. If you up later, like at 20 pop, you're going to be up slower, but you have more resources. So if you just defend, you might get an advantage through that. And what pop you up between 18 and 20 really comes down to Civ matchup and personal preference, and that's a little bit more higher elo talk. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to quickly talk about what the goal in Dark Age is and how do you actually achieve up times with 18 pop consistently with any build, with any Civ. So the idea behind Dark Age is that if we assume that we're not going to do any militia or any Dark Age rush, we only need a certain amount of goals to hit before going up to Feudal Age. And Feudal Age gives a lot of inherent advantages. You get the Scout with an extra 2 attack, more line of sight, faster speed. You get eco upgrades that you can start picking up. You also get access to the mainline buildings like range and stable. And so clearly a ton of benefits come with going up to Feudal Age. So we definitely want to be quick to get there, and sometimes even quicker than opponents. I already explained a little bit about that. So anyways, how do we go about going up fast? So like I said, disregarding any early game aggression with a militia or with the barracks, all we really need in Dark Age is 75 wood for 3 houses, so you can get up to 20 pop space. So you need 75 wood, and then we also need 200 wood for a mill and a lumber camp. So we need 275 wood, and because we start with 200 wood, all we need is to collect 75 more. It's pretty simple. You don't need a lot of vills on wood to collect 75 wood. On the other hand, we need a lot of food because we need 500 food to click up, and we also make on average, let's say 15 vills. So if we have 3 plus 15, that's 18 vills plus a scout, that's a 19 pop, right in the middle of that sweet spot, like I said. So if we need 15 vills, that's going to be 15 times 50, 750 food, plus the 500, that's 1250, minus the 200 we start with, that's 1050. So 1050 food plus 75 wood. That is the only thing we need in Dark Age. Any more wood doesn't help us. Any more food doesn't really help us. Any more of wood and food, just stockpile and wait till Feudal Age. So whether we collect them in Dark Age or in Feudal is completely irrelevant. So for the purposes of getting those resources, this is what the build loaders try to do. They try to collect as little wood as possible. So we need only like 1 or 2 vills on wood. Usually 2 is working perfectly. So you have 2 vills on wood, that lets you collect the 75 at the right time. It also lets you collect a little bit of wood early because you need to make the mill. So 2 on wood generally does it for you. It gets you the wood in time. A 3rd on wood doesn't really add benefit, and that's what the build loaders in the past failed to recognize. The 3 on wood from the past, you just ended up floating wood, and we might have justified it by saying, oh, it's the flexibility, sometimes you want to add a barracks early. Nonsense. If you want to up fast, you up fast. You're not going to change your whole strategy in the first 3 minutes of the game. If you're planning to go for a barracks, then okay, you can put 3 or 4 on wood. If you're planning to up fast, just put 2 on wood. Nothing can really go wrong in the early game anyways, assuming nothing crazy will happen in that particular game. So all we need is like 2 on wood, and then as far as the 1050 food that we have to collect, the best way to collect them is the fastest sources of food. We need to get 2 rhinos in. Those are 400 food each. Our deer is 140 food a piece as well. And so those hunt are super important because they collect the fastest out of sheep and berries. And so a little bit of sheep can be fine, but the 400 plus 400, that's 800, plus the 280, 420, so 420 comes from the deer. If you calculate a little bit of rot as well, just the hunt gets you the 1050 food, even if we allocate, like I said, a couple hundred in terms of in terms of rot. So that's why deer pushing is really important. That's why everyone's realizing that 3 deer pushing in Dark Age isn't greedy. It's really just the optimal way to play. And that is why hunt is just so crucial for your early game, because it's the fastest source of food and it's the fastest way to collect that 1050 food that we need to have a fast feudal uptime. And pretty much the last thing I'll cover in this video is explaining why a farm is the worst thing you can do in Dark Age. And that is because if you spend 60 wood for a farm, that means that you need to collect an extra 60 wood. So it goes from 75 wood plus now I need another 60. That almost doubles the wood you need in Dark Age. And on top of that, the farm is one of the slowest sources of food. It's slower than sheep, it's slower than boar, and I think it's about even with the berries. So it's pretty much the worst thing you can do. So that is pretty much all you need to know about Dark Age theory. Now you can understand why the builders are so food heavy and they have been taking a lot of those off of wood recently. And that is why when I release updated builders in the future, I will show you guys the perfect optimized way to do it. And that is going to be to thin out the wood and put more on food. And I'm also going to show you guys how to redistribute your economy after clicking up to be able to afford what you need to afford in feudal age despite going up really fast. So that's going to be it for this video. This is a really complex topic. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below and I'll answer as much as I can. That's it from me. Peace. See you next time.